How's it going, Jay? How you doing,
Oh,
man?
I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing well. It looks like it's a nice sunny day over in your part of the world.
It's okay, to be fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry I'm a bit late. I slept in. The weather didn't wake me up this morning. So the last 3 days it's been actually brutal hot.
Oh,
It's been,
really?
it's been crazy. Where you just like wake up just exhausted and you're like
Yeah.
just dehydrated because the sun's been up for hours, and then you're like, eh. Today's actually it's kind of it's like bright, but sort of, there's a lot of cloud.
Yeah.
So it's actually like really nice.
It's a bit nice. And
We're
yeah,
not we're not we're not cut out for the hot weather here. So it's yeah, you get a couple of days of sun and you're like, I'm ready for some clouds and some rain.
now I know everyone in Australia watching this is like, what do you consider hot? What would you say the temperature was over there at the moment? Well, yesterday.
I'm so bad at figuring that out. I mean, for me, anything. Let me even check because honestly,
Go for it. I'm
I
curious.
I'm gonna check. Okay, this is gonna be really embarrassing.
Go on, tell me.
It was 20 degrees centigrade. That's okay.
Oh,
It's not terrible.
you
I thought
said
it was way hotter than that.
you sound like all my mates over in New Zealand. They're like that too, where it's like, oh, it's boiling hot. It's 20 degrees. I'm like, okay, mate. Never come here in January where it's 44
Yeah,
degrees
yeah,
some days. And
yeah. Where you've got your hoodie on and you're like, oh, I could do the yeah.
yeah.
Put the radiator on for a bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, that's actually embarrassing. Okay, well, this shows.
Well, good news because you're coming down in just a little over 2 weeks, and the weather's cold at the moment. So I think you've chosen the right time to come back to
Okay,
Australia. Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah, yeah.
about top of 15, so it's nice. I think it'll suit you a bit
That's
better.
hot for me. That's too hot for me.
Jeez, we'll get some. We'll have to tell the promoter. We'll reach out to AJ and say the boys need ice baths backstage. You guys
Yes,
just
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, actually, that's a good question. Yeah, because I think we've only ever been before when it's been your summertime. We've only ever been before. Usually, I'm trying to think now. In the last tours, definitely one of them was like December.
Yeah,
First time we
and
came out was sort of December.
that's
That
summer.
was hot.
That's peak.
That was
Like
yeah, that's the
December,
heat of your summer.
January. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Um, I swear the last time it was pretty hot as well. But yeah, so sort of next week, next 2 weeks, you'd say like
it's
hoodies, jackets.
we're hitting the end of winter here,
Okay.
so next September's the start of spring, but it takes a couple of weeks to get used to it. Like Sydney will probably be okay. Brisbane will be warm because it's Brisbane, but Melbourne will probably be cold. Sydney might be a bit cold, so should be all right. But yeah,
Okay.
definitely pack some t-shirts and that for Brizzy because that place is like Florida. It's just always
Yeah.
hot. Can't live without. But mate, and look, I've got to give it to you guys as well. You said we promised we're going to kick off the world tour in Australia, and you actually did it. It's not the whole, hey, this is the best crowd we've ever played in front of, that you say every city. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you actually did that. Was there a conscious effort to make sure it kicked off down here? Like, just be like, well, we're going to make up for it, or did the stars just align in a way where it worked?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to. We basically set out the dates
Yep.
and the things like you always plan, you plan your ideal situation, because these things you have to book, you know, months and months and months in advance because venues get booked up and that. And you hope it's going to happen. And there was a lot of debate because this was the ideal plan, but as with everything in life, things come up, delays happen, and yeah, the ideal plan was we'd be launching the album there as well, and we're still finishing the album right now. So yeah, it was one of those things where it was touch and go for a minute where we were thinking, are we actually going to be able to honor this tour,
Yeah.
and actually be able to do it because we've just still got so much to record, we've got things to finish off, we really wanted new music out in time, and then by the skin of our teeth we were like, okay, we can make this work. We
Wow.
can we can keep our promise, we can get a couple tunes out before, and that's why we put out the first track from our new record, Cellophane. Really, it was a moment to be like, we don't want to be coming on on tour back to Australia without any new music. It's like that's part. Obviously, that these things do happen, and you do sometimes get bands coming back without anything. But that's kind of it's part of the promise as well, and part of the for us feeling good about getting back on the road is having new music to play, and we've had some of this music for well over a year now. So to actually be able to it's either been half recorded or in our minds, or it's been living with us for the last year or so. So to actually have it ready and be able to get out there and play new music on this tour is going to be really important to us. So yeah, I'm glad we made it work, because there was a moment where we were just thinking, this isn't going to happen. We're going to have to delay it again. So yeah, it's going to feel good.
Oh, well, and the good thing you can do now as well, I don't think you've done this on purpose, but you can always come back at the end of your tour cycle to actually do play more songs from the new album as well, because it's kind of like we get a preview here, and then there's more reason they're like, well, we actually haven't toured for that album. We only came down to 2 songs off it. So yeah, you can always. I
think that's always nice. Yeah, I like that as well. When I see bands, bands that I've loved for a while, it's this weird. I guess that's what it's like being a fan, isn't it? You want new music because you're excited to see what the band's been cooking up, but at the same time you like that band because you like their current songs and their old songs. So yeah, I'm always when I go and see bands who have got new records out, I'm always like, damn, that was awesome, but why didn't they play this? Why didn't they? You've got this whole your favorites that you hope they're going to play, but when a band has only got a couple of hours to play, they can't play everything from their 4 or 5 album discography. So it's quite nice this way around. I like it when you can hear a couple of new ones, hear the old ones, and it gives you then time once an album is out to actually dig into the new material that little bit more. It's fun seeing something for the first time, and when you maybe only heard it a couple of times, and it's a whole different experience when you've actually lived with it for a couple of months. So that's the plus side. We'll get to do both, hopefully.
Yeah, and it's a good point you bring up as well, because I'm very much as a fan the same way, where I do like hearing the old stuff that made me fall in love with the band. But sometimes albums are just so good, and you're like, oh, I need to hear that. So I always say to people, if you really enjoy a band's new album, don't go, oh, I'll see them next time, I'm a bit busy. If they're touring for that album and you like it, go see them on that tour, because next time the next album comes out, they're probably going to cut 80% of the songs from that last album off the set list and then move on to the next one. So yeah, it's
so true as well, especially like in the it's this in that moment when you've just released an album and you're in that that maybe year period afterwards, those songs, you've been living and breathing them for so long as a band. You feel a lot of them, you really feel you need to get out and play live. You need to turn that into a live moment. For us, that's kind of the point of writing music, and that's where we get our satisfaction really from those songs. All those like hours doing the minutiae on mix points. It's the most boring thing ever to us in the process, but it's all those little steps that make the overall piece that then translate to people loving a song, to it connecting live. And so that's the reward of all the hard work of being in the studio and slaving away on revisions and songwriting choices, and then rewriting the song a million times. If you then don't get to play it live, it's a real shame. But as you said, like a couple of years after that, are you really going to go dig into that song from like 2 records ago you didn't play before? So you want to be playing that music in the moment. So yeah, there's a couple of songs that again we love from our previous records that are just those songs that, like, for whatever reason, they're not as high tempo, or they're not as because there's songs that are clearly like live songs where you like, well, you just know that's going to crush live. But there's songs that are our favorites that aren't those songs that you do play, but just the nature of the crowd reaction, it's a bit more subdued. It's a bit more sing along rather than like a mosh fest. And then when you're deciding a set list for the next album, you're like, oh, well, we could play that, but we know this one's, going to be more beneficial to the live experience.
Yeah.
So then you don't end up playing a load of your favorites. So it's like, I think it is a really good point. Yeah. If you like a particular album from a band, it's just come out, you've really got to make the effort to go and that tour.
Yeah, I wish it
For
just
real.
didn't take me 20 years to figure that out, but I got there in the end. So that's the important part. But
Yeah.
it's interesting because you mentioned you sit on the songs, and I've talked to so many people, and everyone's got a different opinion. And I'm curious, do you ever get to a point when you're writing, recording, and doing the mixing, you've done all that? Do you ever get to the point where you hate the songs for a bit and you need to sit on them for a while and have them kind of like go away for a couple of months before you can enjoy them? Because I've talked to so many artists in the past that go, I've heard this song probably 200 times now. I hate it. And then I've talked to another artist that went, oh, we were meant to release the album in 2020, but we didn't for obvious reasons. But that was good. By the time the album came out, I hadn't listened to the album for a year, so I liked the songs again. So do you ever get into that?
Yeah, a lot of the time, really.
Yeah.
It's it depends on the song and it depends how hard it is. Usually the way we write, there's that initial kind of burst of inspiration that gets us really excited about a song. There'll be a period where we're either it's not quite connecting or we've taken it sort of 80% of the where it should be, and that last hurdle is like the difficult part. So actually maybe we've got a load of ideas that we think are sick, but actually turning it into a song that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or doesn't make sense. Sometimes songs like they make too much sense and they become boring.
Yeah.
It's fine finishing them off. Then you finish them off and you feel fucking great about them and you're buzzing and that's an incredible moment. And then it comes to mixing them and it's like, it's again, that next part, that's usually the part that can kill it for us. And especially me, like I'm definitely a bit of a, control freak when it comes to the mixes sounding right in my mind. And obviously all four of us have all our different ideas. So a lot of the minutiae is like, some of it will just completely go over my head, what the boys are sort of cracking on with.
Yep.
And some of the points that I'm bringing up, the guys are like, how are you hearing that? Like, that is not a thing. That's not going to make a difference to anyone's enjoyment of this song. But once it's in your head and you notice it, you want it to be the best it can be. So you're going back and forth on these points sometimes for days, and that can really kill a song. But you want to try your best and you want to get it right. And all these little things, they do obviously make a difference overall. But it will be a couple of months before we can, dive back in and enjoy it. And then again, by that point as well, you kind of, have the time, you're not like, why would you go back and listen to your own record? It's usually a few years later, as I don't know who you spoke to, that you might, I don't know when it will happen. I never think I'm going to go listen to a Don Broco record, but it might be like you're on Spotify.
Yeah.
And one of your song randomly comes on after something else you're listening to, and it's an old song from 2 albums ago, and you're like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
And then you'll just think, why not? Let's put it on, and you'll be surprised about the songs that either you really enjoy or the songs that at the time you were like, oh, this is awesome, and you're like, oh, I can maybe change that now. Or some songs you hear back and you're like, this was not as good as I thought it was. It's like in the moment of writing an album, like, you can't really have it anyway. You need to be 100% proud of everything. Ideally, obviously, there's always like a time limit or there's always some sort of compromise you do have to make, or a compromise with the rest of the band. But usually, when we put out a record, every record 100% we've thought is our best material. We've done they're the best version of the songs we could ever do. And it's only maybe a couple of years later that you're thinking, oh, okay, well, maybe that could be better. Don't like that as much. Or you're like, wow, this is insane. Like, how did we come up with this? And you're surprised. So, I do. Definitely time is a revealer for sure.
It's a good thing because do you know what it shows you as well? If you go back and listen to a song that's a couple of years old of yours and go, I would have done this different, it shows you growing as an artist and you're willing to try and do new things. And it's good that you can't go back and change it because that's who you were when you were doing it then. You needed to be
Yeah,
that person when you did it then. So otherwise everything would start to sound the same. If you go back right now and change everything to how you'd like it now, you go, oh, all
yeah,
the
yeah,
albums are starting to kind of blend together. So no, it's a good thing because means you're hungry. It means you're still trying to grow as an artist at the same time. So yeah, it shows a little bit of
yeah,
evolution, which is nice too.
yeah.
But mate, I know I don't have you for a lot of time, but I know that people are hyped for this tour. You got RedHook opening as well. I couldn't think of a better opener for an Aussie band. I love RedHook. I think they're fantastic. So
Awesome.
well done.
Yeah,
Whoever
we've never played with them before, so we're really excited too.
Yeah, well, luckily you guys are a good live band because they're a fantastic live band. Let's just say that. So they're going to warm up that crowd nice, and yeah, there won't be any lazy nights for you guys. You're going to go, oh, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to go out there. We're going to go out there. But is there anything you want to say to the people that may not be as familiar, might be the first time going to one of your live shows? What should they expect or kind of get ready for?
I guess just like a very, cathartic night of just energy. We put everything out there on stage. As a band, we're quite like physical performers. We like, they're the bands that I sort of grew up watching, bands that, just rocked out and really when it comes to like the energy of a crowd, and the release of like the music, like I really vibe off that. So like the more energetic the crowd, the more crazy I go, the more crazy the rest of the band go. And it's just, it's just a very sweaty, very sweaty affair where, a lot of jumping, a lot of singing, a lot of mosh pits, all the stuff that I guess, I love about rock
Yeah.
shows, things that you can't do in everyday life, or people would look at you like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
But in this environment you can, and it's, it's that connection with random strangers that you've never met before in a mosh pit.
Yeah.
That's, I live for that. It's one thing that I'm kind of like, doing this for a living now, like I don't get to go to as many gigs as I used to, and basically growing up listening to music, that was my church. It was going to rock shows every week, every other week, whether it was like a local one in our town or like getting the train into London and just leaving it all out there on the floor.
Yeah.
And coming back feeling like, exhausted, but like rejuvenated. So that's what we try and bring as an experience on stage. And that's what we really vibe off when we see the crowd, losing their minds as well. So yeah, that's the experience really. Just good old clean rock and roll mosh pit fun.
I love it, and us Aussies love to do it too. So we'll be nice and prepared. We're coming, like I said, we're coming off tail end of winter, so the muscles won't be as stiff. So we'll be able to rock out with you boys. But Rob, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Hope you have a great flight. Cheers, mate.
Yes, cheers, man. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.